So I've hit the record button, and today we're here with David Lee, who is a senior fleet manager at Solar Turbines. He's very passionate about sharing his knowledge and will be speaking to us today about lube oil experience in a Japanese fleet. As part of the presentation, if there's questions during the presentation today, we'll hold those until the end of the presentation, but we'll make sure we get to them during today's session. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm David Lee from Solar Turbine. I'm the fleet manager there. And today I'm sharing the lube oil experience in our Japan fleet. And before that, I would like to thank for our fleet manager from Japan, Tomoyaki Kihara, who have provided a lot of information regarding to this presentation. First of all, I would like to say you guys all like to see who we are. Sorry, hit up here. Who we are and what we're doing and what do we make? Because of when you hear the name of Solar Turbine, you always have this question. So we are the large manufacturer of industrial gas turbine from 1 megawatt to 23 megawatt. We have installation at more than 100 countries. We have 65 local office at the sales and also services in worldwide. And we are the Caterpillar subsidiary since 1981. So we have 16,000 gas turbines sold worldwide and 6,500 plus gas compressor we sold worldwide. And we are 8,000 plus employees worldwide in company. So our vision is to power the future through the subsistence innovative energy solution. And our mission is make our customers successful, we go profitably, and we do the right way. So this is the range of the gas turbine from 1 megawatt to 23 megawatt. And this is our range of the gas compressor who is matching with our turbine. Okay, why I choose a Japan fleet? If you look at the distribution of our units, we have around 1,300 units Asian Pacific, and we do have around 200 something units at Japan, and that's a quite large fleet, and which is really interesting to share the experience from there. Before I share the experience, I would like to recap some of our lube oil knowledge. So what we're doing with the lube oil, we're dealing with the lube oil problem. Basically, it's the lube oil degradation. So when the degradation can be external contamination or the oil property have been changed. Either way, this problem will affect us. And if you look at the we're dealing with as a reliability engineer, our rotation engineers, we were dealing with high bearing temperature, high bearing chain temperature, bearing vibration, and also the lube oil control from the temperature and the pressure, and also the cooler efficiency. Of course, all the pump and accessories all affected. And this is all linked together by our lube oil. First of all, I will introduce what we're using right now at Japan. We have two types of oil using most likely. And type A is a synthetic oil, and type B is the mineral oil. And we have around 12 years data in Japan, and since 2011. So the different package and different installation with similar type of oil, because of this is the common oil we're using in Japan. So we do have a lot of statistics, and thanks for ExxonMobil laboratory at Japan, they have providing a really good record since 2011. So if you look at the type A of oil, which is a synthetic type, we do a statistics there about around 500 samples. And we have around 300 or 400 samples is within our we call the safe range. However, when you look at the red one, which is the around 52 samples is above the range, and some of them at the yellow is caution sign. So the total exit number is one of the indicator of oil is become bad. However, when you look at the type B of oil, which is a mineral oil we're using at Japan, with the similar 600 samples for the last 12 years, we do have around 1/6 of the samples above the range. Now, I'm not trying to say which type of oil is better, because of, if you look at them, yes, in percentage type, the mineral oil is more sample out of the range than the synthetic oil, the type A of oil. But however, it all depends on application, and all depends on how you operating it and how you maintain it, the lube oil. So it's not a conclusion from here, but it's a generic samples which is leading to our actions. And the next one I will talk about certain cases, and this time I will show 3 cases, and will be interested because of I selecting from all over our actions of Japan, and I select 3 of them is more representatives and present here. Let's go to the case number 1, which is the synthetic type of oil. Okay, so when we found an oil issue, we replace the oil with the new oil. So, and this time is a mineral oil, then we replace a new mineral oil. And then, of course, we flushing the tank, after that, we start up. Okay, instead of we talk about the actions, we better look at the numbers. So this is the, if you have deal with lube oil before, you will notice we all using lube oil analyzing report, because of they will contain a lot of informations we ask for. And this one is, if you look at there, I will have a type B of oil, which is a mineral, and new type B of oil, which is a new mineral oil we add to the tank. So this is the timeline. 2020 December, we found out the oil is already in caution and is above 0.4. And at 2021 June, they even go to 0.97 in the total exit, which is I would consider is a really critical level. And at that particular time, we decide to replace the oil because of the oil already going back, right? What can we do? And if you don't do any action, the consequence will be a lot of high vibration, high drain temperature, high bearing temperature. Of course, even the gearbox or even the accessory gear bombs will be failed, and because of it. And the worst scenario, you fail the engine, which is really expensive for the customer. So we take the action right away, right after that, at June, and October 2nd and 2021, we do another sample. So when we do the sample, if you look at that, that's interesting. After we replace oil and clean up the tank, we have a significant dropping of total exit number, and from 0.97 drop to 0.26. Okay, I recap. We're using 0.5 as a guidance, which is dangerous. When you're above 0.4, we call caution. So you need to pay attention. But however, the next sample at December 2021, we found the total exit have been increased, and the oxidation also increased. And if you look at the 2022 April, they even increased more to caution. And again, 2022 June, we saw the total exit number had go to 0.72, and the oxidation also reached to 8. And all of those show us that the oil replacement only good for 5,658 hours, which is a little bit too short. So this is case number 1. We just oil replace and the same oil and without do anything. And for case number 2, so we add the decom to the mineral oil and flushing it and purify it internally and start and run. So remember this one is similar, we have a mineral oil problem, and we add the decum there. By the way, decum is some kind of additive provided by Fluid Tech. Okay, so during the processing, because of I can show you the analyzing report at the next minute. So we do have picturing of the sample. We do the inspection on the piping, and of course we check the nest number, because of we all know that vanishing, more than just they build up and stick at the surface, they will have particles all over the place. So we need to do those kind of filterization or clean up to the oil, because we want to reusing it. Okay, here is the oil. So we have found out at 2022 April, the oil is oxidation increased, and also the total exit is I would like to say it's also go to quite close to the alert level. By that reason, so we start to add the decum there, and this is the picture for the filterization. And after that, at 2022 November, we do the sampling again, and we found out everything have been go to acceptable level. By the way, we also introduced other method after 2022 to ExxonMobil. We also checking the MPC. If you look at the report, there's no MPC before, because of I think we can discuss this one later on. They only checking the total exit and oxidation, which is not necessarily bad, but however, we found the total exit and also oxidation is a lagging indicator. What I mean by lagging indicator is already so that the oil have become bad, and that's when you want to recover it, it's really difficult. So this sampling, we found the MPC is quite high during the time of we do the sample at the April of 2022. And then until November of 2022, which is running for more than 6 months. And if you look at them with the decum there, then the MPC is go to a reasonable level, 5, and RVPOT is also dropping down. So which is a good indication of those additives is working. Okay, we have case 3. So case 3 is we do have mineral oil at the beginning, and our client, after look at the report, everything have been discussed, then they tend to change to the synthetic, because of, if you look at the result, as I say, I don't want to conclude it, but however, the result from Lube oil analyzing synthetic oil have less problem compared with mineral oil. But again, it depends on how you're operating it, how you maintain it. It's not necessary that's a conclusion, right? So some of my customer will think about, okay, if that's the case, why didn't we changing the oil type from mineral to synthetic? Now remember, changing the oil type is not that easy. You need to do the compatibility of the oil, make sure they are compatible, and then you need to replace it. So, and remember one thing, replacing the oil, you need to stop the unit. You cannot running the unit and do the replacement at the same time. So it all depends on how long of the period they are, and sometimes some operation they cannot stop, and which is another challenge for us for all kind of those kind of maintenance. So, and this customer have quite good that they can stop the oil, they can do the change, and also we do the internal flushing of the system, and we start up and run. So this is, again, this is the sampling we take, and also of course we're using a purifier pump to make sure that the nest level have been meet, filterization, all those we call the vanishing, everything. And if you look at the piping, they also, you can also see this is a drain pipe. The brown color one is some of the vanishing already built up inside the pipe. Okay, from here, we will have a type A and type B of oil, and the type B mineral oil is using from 2021 all the way to 2022 June. And then if you look at the analyzing report, the oxidation have been increasing a lot, and together with the total exit number. As I say, after 2022, we introduced, actually we also introduced another ruler, but that's at the other side of the report. It's not the same page, but we didn't talk about that one first. Okay. So we analyzing the MPC, we analyzing the RPVOT also for the lube oil. So if you look at the trend of it, the total exit have been increasing, and even increasing at the June, increasing above 1.2. So which is really a critical level. And that's why the customer have panicking, and we say, okay, if that's the case, we need to stop the unit, and we need to do the lube oil flushing, and also we need to do the replacing of oil. And replacing of oil, of course, you can select which type, right? You can using the type B, or you can change it to type A. And this case, they are convincing to changing the synthetic oil. So when we do the changing of synthetic oil, and after that, you can see the total exit have dropped to significant, to a really low level. And together with the MPC also dropped down a lot. And we have run it from 2022 April to 2022 June and July, and they are okay and really stable. So these are few cases have been. Number one case is just the oil itself replacement. Number two case is we add some additive decom to the oil. Number three, this one is actually we have add the decom and do the internal flushing and using the new oil, synthetic oil. So now remember the data I show right now is only 2022 June. Actually, we have some other new data, which is maybe next year I will show you again what's going on for those cases. Because of a long-term follow-up is important for all those lube oil analyzing. You cannot use one sample as a representative, because one sample, if they become bad, they can be the sample itself contamination, not necessarily oil become bad. And that will cause a lot of action, everything together, but you don't have the unit because of the oil, maybe nothing wrong, but the sample have been contaminated. So from our sampling, as I say, I appreciate that we do have a really consistent record, and which is called become an action we can put in place, and also we see the result. So from here, I will share with some keynotes. We got a conclusion of all my case. All of the case, we have successful to control the total exit and MPC from the 3 cases we select. And then for the granaging case, just replacing the oil will not solve the problem. And decom actually is quite a good medium to using in variable situation like synthetic oil or even mineral oil. And for instance, and if you have a low budget, now remember when oil problem, I think most of the people will just replace it, right? But think about granaging. They will not go away when you just replacing the oil. This is so a case number 1. A few thousand hours later, they come back. And are you telling me every a few thousand hours we need to replace the oil? It's not. For the turbine itself, they are not required that frequent oil change. So if you are running out of budget, but you want to extend the life of your oil until you can stop the unit, until you can replace it, until you can get a better type of oil, different type of oil will be suitable for different applications. So consult your oil specialist or consult your OEM. They should have more information on that. So if you're running out of budget, you want to do something on that. And I think our case number 2 is quite a adaptable case for everybody to try, because of they add the decom, they extend the life of the oil, and they can do the next action and prolong the oil life. You can plan ahead the action you require. And also for case number 2 and 3, decom is quite effective and demonstrated on both cases. So this is my presentation, and I think I make it in 30 minutes.
David, you did fantastically well to keep to our time frame there, and really gives the audience a chance to ask some questions, which we do have coming through from different people in the group there. So maybe starting from the bottom and working our way up. So from Martin, do we need to have full lube oil flush during replace new lube oil? So do we need to do a full lube oil flush? Good question.
Okay, good question. Okay, and in fact, flushing, just normal flushing will not help when vanishing problem. Lube oil flushing only can be moving particles. For example, I have a gear fail. The gear metal is fly everywhere in my lube oil system. I will do flushing. I will, if I install a new piping, the new piping have been welding, I need to do lube oil flushing. The particles inside there, you can remove it from a flushing. But unfortunately, not vanishing. Vanishing, you need to have a special method to remove it. And special for old units we have, we're talking about some of my Japan unit is 25 years or 30 years old. And they have been a long time to build up some kind of vanishing inside everywhere, like the lube oil tank. If I go back to the presentation, I show you one of the lube oil tank look like. So you look at the color of the tank. Actually, the color is not like this. Right now it's brown and red color. This is a vanishing. So they build up and attached to the tank. So when you just flush it, they will not go away. No matter how long the flushing, I have been a case, we flushing it for like 14 days. And eventually you put the oil there, then the oil become bad again, like this case, within a few thousand hours. And the vanishing will build up by themselves after you get the heat and after you get the circulation and with the other contamination, because heat is one of the triggering point for the vanishing.
Absolutely. Maybe if we move on to the next question here from Angus, did Solar recommend to your clients that decon is added to their oils once high MPC values were noted? And was the percentage added depending on the MPC value, 3% or 5%?
Another good question. So we are, okay, as a manufacturer of OEM for the turbine, we are not limited in different kind of method to our client to using. Decom is one of the methods we're using at Japan, which we have all the data to show. But if we say some other oil manufacturer or some other, they call the lubricant experts have some other method, we are willing to try. So we cannot say we recommend or whatever because of it's a big work for OEM. So, however, we are willing to try all kind of method to help our client to achieve a longer term using of the lube oil.
Yeah. So good comment, and I do understand that, having worked for an OEM previously in a different career. So appreciate that feedback. From Greg Livingstone, what type of solar turbine packages were used in this case study? And do you find that some of your engines degrade their oils more quickly than other models?
Yes, another good question. So the example I'm using is basically is a 7 megawatt to 14 megawatt range. And I think, Greg, you asked a really good question. In a different range of our turbine, actually, the same oil may be working really good on a 4 megawatt turbine, but when you're using the 7 megawatt, they don't react that good. The reason for that is because of the internal temperature is different. It's not the rotation part, it's the combustor part. So when you have a hotter temperature and you need to generate more power and the design is different, then the oil type will be dedicated much faster. I think that one have been proved up in a lot of tests we done. And similar thing, we don't want to jump to any conclusion and misleading our audience here. But but you need to contact with your OEM if you have a different type of turbine and what kind of oil you're using. Also, the lube oil experts can help you on those kind of selection.
Yep, agreed. And I guess that leads us into another question, talking about temperatures from Ahmed. How does the ambient temperature affect the life of the oil, and in this case, deserts of the Middle East, and below freezing temperatures in North America? So one extreme to the other.
You bring up another good question. I also want to do this study and how much affect. But what we know in the OEM as manufacturing for different type, we saw in the similar region. Okay, we going by similar region is actually Japan is pretty similar to Korea, and also some simulation. Similarity with China fit. From there, we saw a different problem, completely different kind of problem. And is that related to the ambient temperature? I have a doubt on that. The reason I say that is when the turbine is operating, we are running in above 10,000, sometimes 13,000 to 15,000 Fahrenheit temperature inside the combustor. And the ambient temperature, how effect of it, maybe they are affecting your storage of the oil, but compared with the 15,000 to 13,000 Fahrenheit, that the effect I think is much, much less. So this is what I found. But you bring up a good point. We can also, maybe I expand a little bit more. In Japan operation, we have extremely cold because of the winter time. They have is minus 20 degrees C. We have extremely hot because of its Tokyo downtown. So they can reach around 32 centigrade at the ambient at the summertime. So this is quite a big range, of course, compared with Alaska, compared with other regions like Middle East. Middle East always hot. They never have a cold temperature, right? So that make a big difference on our operator, how they running the machine. And will that behavior affecting our lube oil, they call the quality? I have no answer. We have to find it out.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, a case study for next year's session. We're just coming to a close, coming up now. It's 3 minutes left. If there's any other questions that anyone wanted to put into the chat, I see maybe one more has just popped through. Let me just double check.
So I see the specification or the band. So in solar turbine, we will not recommend a single band of oil to our client. We will using a oil specification. We call the engineering specification. So any oil meet the specification, and the client can select. I think that answer your question.
Yeah, I think that answers it well, and we all understand that from an OEM perspective. And David, really appreciate your time today. We had a lot of participants on this session here today, and a lot of good questions coming through, and it does really show an interest in what you're presenting here today. So I would like to thank you. This was a really enjoyable session together. And David, thanks again for being part of it here with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thanks for everyone that was on the call today. David, I'm just going to end the session now, and if you do the same on your end, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.